What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my full card breakdown and prediction video for UFC Vegas 100. We have Carlos Prates going against Neil Magny. This is going to be the 100th Fight Night card at the Apex. What a milestone! And we are getting rewarded with incredible fights like Tresean, Gore, Antonio Trocoli, Mellisa, Mullins, Klaudia, Sygula. That's going to be a banger. Zach Scroggin's on the card. That guy's pretty good. So we are getting rewarded here for the 100th Fight Night at the Apex. So looking forward to breaking it all down. Before we get into it, if you guys could please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Leave me a comment as well. All three of those things go a very, very long way. And as always, I'm going to be breaking down these fights. And Friday, I will be going live. Sometime I'm thinking 4 Eastern Friday, and then of course we got Best Bet on Saturday there. So with all that out of the way, I say we get into it. We're going to kick it off with an absolute banger. We have Tresean Gore going against Antonio Trocoli. We got Tresean Gore, 30 years old, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach, 4-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Antonio Trocoli, he's 33 years old, 6'5" with an 80-inch reach. He's 12-4 and 3-1 in 1-no contest in his last 5 fights. Tresean Gore is the favorite. He opened up minus 135. He's currently minus 185. As far as Trocoli, he opened up plus 115. He's currently plus 160. And I'm not high on either guy at all. Tresean Gore, I thought he was very, very overrated coming out of the Ultimate Fighter. There was some hype on the guy, but I think he had the skill sets there. He's a strong dude, good takedown defense, underrated grappling. He has a lot of power. The striking looks good. It's just when he gets in there, it's like he doesn't do anything. The volume is incredibly low. His fights aren't that exciting, and his power is even getting overrated a little bit. I know he knocked out Gilbert Urbina in the Tough House, but outside of that, he's not really knocking guys out at all. So yeah, I think Gore, the upside could potentially still be there. He's 30 years old, and I do think he has the higher ceiling between these two guys. But, this is a guy that, before his debut against Brian Battle, was talking about how he's going to be a double champ in 2 different divisions. So, which is absolutely not going to be the case. But yeah, in this matchup here, I think stylistically it is a good matchup for him in a sense that I do think he has the takedown defense to keep it on the feet. And on the feet, it's no surprise that Gore is going to be the better striker. What I will say is I feel like it could be just a lot harder than it needs to be for Gore, just because, like I said, the volume's not there. Trocoli, he's probably going to be a little bit more active, but I mean, the striking advantage goes to Gore. So yeah, give me Gore here to win this fight, probably by decision. This fight could be awful, to be honest, but I'll take Gore to win this fight and win it by decision. Next, we have a fight that will absolutely not be awful. It is Cortavious Romious going against Gaston Bolanos. We have Romious, 30 years old, 5'4", with a 68-inch reach, 9-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Gaston Bolanos, he's 32 years old, 5'10" or 5'7", with a 69-inch reach. He's 7-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Romious opened up minus 550. He's currently minus 205. And as far as Bolanos, he opened up plus 400. He's currently plus 175. So that opener was crazy. With that said, though, I mean, I think Romious has a path to look minus 550, and that would be with the grappling. Gaston Bolanos is a one-dimensional fighter. He's a really good striker. I think his striking is getting a little bit overrated by some people, but I mean, he's a really good striker. He's been out there knocking guys out. Did go to a decision with Aaron Phillips, which I did not think was the best look. But if Romious does go out there and stand and bang with Bolanos, Romious could get potentially knocked out. We saw him get knocked out on the Contender Series in about 60 seconds by Ramon Tavares. So I think the path to victory here for Romious would be just getting this fight down to the ground. We saw Aaron Phillips, who I don't think is that great of a wrestler, especially even a grappler. He was able to take down Bolanos, get into dominant positions, get into mount easily, take his back, almost submit him on a couple different occasions. Romious, he's a very, very slick grappler. If he can get this fight down to the mat, I think he has an astronomical advantage. The problem with Romious, though, is in a lot of his fights, he tends to go out there and want to stand and bang, and if he does that here, he's going to just make the fight a lot harder for himself. Not saying he can't win that fight and knock out Bolanos, I just think he's going to make it a lot harder for himself here. So I'll take Romious. I'll take him to win this fight by submission, getting the fight down to the mat, and if he does, I think he makes it look easy. So give me Cortavious Romious to win this fight by second round submission. All right, next we have Mellisa Mullins going against Klaudia Sygula. We got Mullins, 30 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach, 6-1 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Klaudia Sygula, she is 25 years old, 5'8", 6-1 and 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Mellisa Mullins opened up -230. She's currently -240. As far as Sygula, she opened up +195. She is currently +200. And when I was, scanning the odds for the fight card, I saw Mullins at -240. I thought it might have been a mistake because, her last fight was just such a bad look. And then I went and digged into Klaudia Sygula, and it's like, oh, that's why she's -240. Sygula, she's fought a very, very, very low level of competition. I think her ground game's not that great. I've seen her taken down. I've seen her held down. I've seen her put into bad spots on the mat. Her only loss comes by submission. She's been submitted as an amateur a couple times as well, so Mullins is going to have a path here. I don't like how hittable Mullins is on the feet, but the best part of Mullins' game is when she gets on top, she's very nasty. I remember the Irina Alexeva fight, just beat the brakes off of Alexeva across 3 rounds, and if she can get on top of Sygula here, I think she can absolutely do some damage, put her in some bad positions, and eventually potentially get out of there by either a TKO, maybe even get a submission along the way. So I do like Mullins here. Would I lay -240 on her? No, but I think she has a path here to get on top and do some serious damage. So I'm taking Mellisa Mullins. Give me Mullins to win this fight. I'll say like a 3rd round TKO. Next, we have Blackshear going against Cody Stamann. You got Blackshear, 30 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach, 14-7-1 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Cody Stamann, 35 years old, 5'6", with a 64.5-inch reach, 21-7-1 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Blackshear opened up -170. He's currently -275. Cody Stamann opened up +145, and he's currently +235. So like a lot of these fights on this card, like even in the Mullins fight we talked about, the Romious fight and the Gore fight, I think, all these favorites, these lines are just too wide, but at the same time, it's hard to pick a couple of these dogs. Like, how can I pick Cody Stamann, who's 35 years old, going to be at a big height and reach disadvantage? Like, look at that reach. Blackshear is going to have a massive reach advantage, and I think Blackshear's striking is underrated, but the best part of his game is that grappling. Very good submission artist. Black belt in BJJ. We've seen Cody Stamann submitted a couple times, so I just feel like wherever this fight goes, Blackshear can have success, whether it's using that range, that striking, or if this fight does get down to the mat, I think Blackshear can have success down there as well. So I feel like this fight could be a little bit closer than the line does indicate. Cody Stamann, he's no bum. Good wrestling background, good striking in his own right. I just think Blackshear, especially 5 years younger, the bigger guy should have more success across 15 minutes. So I'm going to take Blackshear to win this fight. I'll take him to win this fight by decision. All right, next we have Charles Radke going against Matthew Semelsberger. We have Charles Radke, 34 years old, 5'9", with a 72-inch reach, 9-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Matthew Semelsberger, 31 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach, 11-7 and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. So believe it or not, I think this is actually the closest line fight on the entire card. Like I said, we have a ton of big favorites on this card, so this is the closest line fight on the entire card. And I don't know. I mean, Matthew Semelsberger is probably the most frustrating fighter to ever pick or bet on. It's like, I think this guy has some skill. He has a ton of power. This guy has like 9 or 10 knockdowns in the UFC, but he only has like 2 knockouts, and it was against Jason Witt, which shouldn't count, and then Martin Sano, which absolutely shouldn't count. So he has this power, but he's not going out there and actually finishing the guy, just knocking him down. The takedown defense is less than 50%. That's not great. The grappling is not great. If he gets taken down, he can kind of be stuck on his back. So yeah, he has this power, but very low volume as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just not high on Semelsberger really at all. I think he's on like a 3-fight losing streak as well. So yeah, I mean, after looking into the fight, I kind of do like Radke here. I know the power of Semelsberger's a concern, but I think Radke has more ways to win this fight. I think Radke's just as likely to land a big shot in the feet. Radke has a ton of power, but I also feel like Radke can get this fight down to the ground easily. Semelsberger cannot stuff a takedown. We've seen everybody take down Semelsberger. Guys like AJ Fletcher, guys like Preston Parsons, like everybody's taken this guy down easily. And I think Radke, if he wants takedowns, he can get takedowns. And on the ground, Charles Radke's a black belt in BJJ, has a couple submissions on his record. So yeah, I like Radke here. More ways to win. So yeah, I'll take Radke to win this fight. I think it's a submission, and I think it's round 2 submission, I'll say, for Charles Radke. Next fight, we have Mansur Abdul-Malik going against Dusko Todorovic. We got Abdul-Malik, 27 years old, 6'2" with an 80-inch reach, 6-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Dusko Todorovic, he's 30 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach, 12-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Abdul-Malik opened at -350. He's currently -350. Dusko opened up +285. He's currently +285. Yeah, so Dusko's been away for a while. He had that nasty injury against Christian Leroy Duncan. Took some time off, which was well needed. It was a brutal injury, and he's coming back here. I've never been high on Dusko at all. I mean, this is a guy that is just begging to be knocked out in every single fight. He has just no striking defense whatsoever. Chin's extremely high up in the air, has that tall man's defense. It's bad. It's very bad. And I dug into this fight. I went back and watched some of these Dusko fights, and he fought Jordan Wright. And for some reason, I forgot about that fight. But he fought Jordan Wright, and I am watching the fight, and it's like Jordan Wright's ragdolling Dusko Todorovic. And I'm like, really, Dusko? What's going on here? Jordan Wright's taking you down multiple. Jordan Wright was beating the crap out of Dusko Todorovic on the ground, almost submitted him too. I was like, what is going on? And I'm thinking to myself, geez, if Jordan Wright is doing that to you, what is Mansur Abdul-Malik going to do to you? I mean, Mansur Abdul-Malik, this guy has a wrestling background. He's very, very physically strong, and I kid you not, he has some of the nastiest ground and pound I've ever seen. Like, he'll get on top of guys, and I saw him take some guy down, land one big shot on the mat, and the fight was over. I mean, knocked him out cold. This guy has just legit power, whether he's on top or whether he's at range as well. And again, Dusko, at range, begging to be knocked out. I think Mansur can land a big shot standing, but I also think he can take down Dusko, who has less than a 50% takedown defense. And, I mean, if Jordan Wright's taking you down, Mansur will be able to as well. So, Mansur Abdul-Malik is just a guy you do not want on top of you, and I just don't see why he'll have any problem getting this fight down to the mat. So I'm taking Mansur Abdul-Malik to get this done. I think it's a first-round knockout. With that said, though, if this fight gets extended, I do have some slight concerns about Abdul-Malik's cardio. It looked like it was kind of fading in his Contender Series fight, but he did show a lot of heart. He showed no quit in him. He actually ended up breaking his opponent late second round. So, but yeah, if this fight gets extended, it could get a little bit iffy, but I'll say Mansur Abdul-Malik by first-round knockout here, TKO on the mat. Next, we got Elize Zaleski dos Santos going against Zach Scroggin. We got Zaleski, 37 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, 24-8-1 and 2-2-1 in his last 5 fights. Zach Scroggin, he's 28 years old, 6'3" with a 74.5-inch reach, 7-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Zaleski opened up -450. He's currently -450. Scroggin opened up +350. He's currently +350. Yeah, I'll keep this one short and sweet. So Elize Zaleski dos Santos was supposed to fight Nicholas Dalby, and now he's getting a much easier matchup. So Scroggin, he is undefeated, but he's fought a very low level of competition, and I went back and watched some of his fights, and it's like on the feet, he's very hittable. I don't like that. He has no takedown defense. He'll jump the ghillie. He'll end up on bottom, and he's looking to get the fight down to the mat in a lot of his fights. What I will say, on the feet, he does throw some good volume, but I just think Elize Zaleski is just going to be better wherever the fight goes. On the feet especially, I think Zaleski could even land something big here. Scroggin is very hittable. Scroggin's going to probably try to get takedowns. I don't think he has any success at all. And if anything, Zaleski could get takedowns if he wanted him here, and Zaleski's a black belt. So yeah, this fight's stupid. It's like, what's the point? Like, what's the point? You know, Scroggin, he's going to get a shot in the UFC. I get that, but it's probably going to be a loss. Like, I don't like this matchup for him. This fight shouldn't be remotely competitive, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Scroggin's better than I'm thinking, but Zaleski's fought the much better guys. I think Zaleski's the better striker. Should be Zaleski here all day. So give me Elize Zaleski dos Santos to win this fight. Man, he probably knocks him out, to be honest. I'll take Elize Zaleski by first round knockout here. Next fight, we got Gillian Robertson going against Luana Pinheiro. We got Robertson, 29 years old, 5'5" with a 63-inch reach, 14-8 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Luana Pinheiro, 30 years old, 5'4" with a 62-inch reach, 11-3 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. So, Robertson, big favorite, opened at -250, currently -375. Pinheiro opened up +210. She's currently +310. And yeah, I mean, this is, something that jumped off to me instantly at this matchup. It's like, I think it's a really, really bad matchup for Luana Pinheiro. Early on, she might be able to have some success. We obviously have to give the striking advantage to Pinheiro. Pinheiro does have some power. And what I always say about Pinheiro is I think she's a very, very good fighter. Very talented fighter in the first 7.5 minutes. And it's every single fight with Pinheiro, no matter who she's facing, whether it's a slow-paced fight, a fast-paced fight, no matter what, 7.5 minute mark hits, she starts to really, really slow down, and it's bad. I mean, she got submitted in the late second round by Angela Hill. That's awful. That's absolutely awful. I know Angela Hill's made some improvements, but geez. And then we saw her get knocked out by Amanda Hebos in the third round. Not a good look, especially, at strawweight here. I mean, that's a terrible look. And she's slowing down like other fights too. Like there was the Hughes fight, like the Michelle Waterson-Gomez fight was the slowest paced fight where nobody did nothing, and she still slowed down there too. It's like, what's going on, Luana? What's going on? And now she's taking on Gillian Robertson, who's found her right weight class. And strawweight for Robertson was a great move. Now she's going to use that size, that strength. She has 15-minute cardio, unlike Pinheiro. A really good ground game, good ground and pound. Yeah, I think it's a rough matchup for Pinheiro. I think Pinheiro, honestly, she's KO1 or bust, and a KO1 in the strawweight division just not that likely. So I'll take Robertson here. I think early on maybe she'll struggle to maybe get the fight down to the mat, but as the fight goes on, I think she'll be able to start implementing her game, get on top, and I think she breaks Pinheiro late second round. So I'll take Gillian Robertson, second round submission. Moving on, we got Reinier de Ridder going against Gerald Meerschaert. We got de Ridder. He's 34 years old, 6'4", with a 79-inch reach, 17-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Gerald Meerschaert, 36 years old, 6'1", with a 77.5-inch reach, 37-17, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. De Ridder opened up -400. He's currently -285. Gerald Meerschaert opened up +330, currently +245. So I've heard of de Ridder before. I've watched him fight a couple times before. This guy is very, very good. And you go watch his fights, and it's like, there was like 6 different fights where it's like the same thing. He goes out there, he takes his opponent down, he gets to their back and chokes him out. Or he has some ground and pound knockouts as well. Early on, he's very, very dangerous. But as the fight goes on, his cardio for me is just like a big concern. I've seen him quit in fights before. Like he even had a 5-round fight, and in the 5-round fight, he's getting reversed, he's getting taken down. I think the cardio is a big issue for de Ridder here. So the question is he going to be able to go out there and either A, finish Gerald Meerschaert early on, or B, be able to go out there and fight for 15 minutes and take down Meerschaert, get on top, and do that game plan for 15 minutes. I'm not sure. I've been kind of going back and forth on this one, but how many times have we seen it with Meerschaert? It's like this guy takes a beating early on. He gets taken down, he gets hurt, but the fight continues on and gets to that second round. Then he starts to take over as opponents start to slow down. I could absolutely see that here. with de Ridder. Like I think de Ridder could go out there. Maybe he does finish Meerschaert. Maybe he does TKO him or find a sub. But Meerschaert's going to be the better striker here, which is crazy to say, but it's true. De Ridder's striking just non-existent. Looks very uncomfortable on the feet. So I think these guys are going to grapple. And if de Ridder's not able to finish Meerschaert in those first 5 minutes, I worry about his cardio, especially with his debut. So yeah, I'm actually going to take Meerschaert here. I mean, we've just seen it so many times. It's Meerschaert, and it's Meerschaert just getting that come from behind victory, and I think that's certainly on the table here. So I'll take Meerschaert. I'll say 3rd round submission for Meerschaert. This fight should be phenomenal though. But yeah, give me Meerschaert by submission in the 3rd round. Next, we got Bernardo Sopai going against Ricky Turcios. We got Sopai, 24 years old, 5'6", with a 66-inch reach, 11-3, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Turcios, 31 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach, 12-4, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Sopai opened up -175, which is crazy. He's now -350. Turcios opened up +150. He's currently +285. Yeah, I mean, this line's certainly wide, but that's the case on this entire card. All these lines are too wide. But yeah, I'm not even thinking about taking Turcios here. I'm just not high on Turcios at all. Not really sure what he's good at. He's not a good striker. He has terrible striking accuracy. He has no takedown defense. Can grapple a little bit. Has good cardio, good toughness. I guess that's his best attribute, that cardio, that toughness. But skill for skill, Sopai is just so much better here. I think Sopai is the better striker, more power on the feet, better wrestling. Should be able to get takedowns here if he wants them. So, yeah, this should be Sopai all day. The concern with Sopai would be the cardio. As we know, he saw in his last fight against Vinicius Oliveira, he did completely death gas, but that was on like 3 or 4 days notice. So, yeah, outside of that, I mean, it should be Sopai here. I'll take Sopai to win this fight by decision. Winning those first 2 rounds, maybe dropping the third. Like if the cardio is an issue, maybe dropping the third, but I don't think Ricky Cercios has the stopping power or anything like that to get the finish if he does need it in that third round. So give me Sopai. I'll take Sopai to win this fight by decision. Next we have Denise Gomes going against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. We got Gomes, 24 years old, 5'2" with a 63-inch reach, 9-3, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, 39 years old, 5'3" with a 64-inch reach, 16-8 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Gomes, massive favorite, opened at -325, currently -500. Karolina Kowalkiewicz opened up +275. She's currently +385. And yeah, Gomes is so much younger. I think Gomes is improving. I think she has more power on the feet. I think she has all the grappling upside. All signs point to Denise Gomes to go out there and get this win. Not much else to say. Like on the feet, I guess Karolina might be able to maybe land some more volume, but I think Gomes has all the finishing upside here. And yeah, like I said, Gomes can get takedowns if need be. So give me Gomes here, -500. It's absolutely ridiculous, but at the end of the day, I think she gets her hand raised, and I think it's by decision. All right, now we get the main event. It is Carlos Prates going against Neil Magny. We got Prates, 31 years old, 6'1" with a 78-inch reach, 20-6 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Neil Magny, 37 years old, 6'3" with an 80-inch reach, 29-12 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We got Prates opened up -600. He's currently -750, which makes him the biggest favorite on the card. And then we got Neil Magny opened up +425. He's currently +550. Yeah, lots of hype on Carlos Prates. Lots of hype on the fighting nerds in general. I think that has a lot to do with where the line and where it's at. With that said, though, Neil Magny, I kind of feel like he's been on his way out for a while now. He's had some like hit or miss performances. Like sometimes he'll go in there, he'll look good. Sometimes he'll go in there and look really bad and get finished early. And then sometimes he'll go out there and look really bad and then find a late finish like he did in the Malott fight. But even like his win against Phil Rowe, like that wasn't the best look in the world. Just really haven't been impressed with Neil Magny for a very long time at this point. I think Carlos Prates is on the way up. I think the UFC obviously wants him to go out there and succeed and win and get a highlight reel knockout, and I think that's probably what happens here. I don't see Magny having much success getting the fight down to the mat. I don't see Magny having any success on the feet, and I think when this fight is on the feet, Carlos Prates, the hands are super fast, very long-range guy, just a ton of power. So I think eventually he touches the chin of Magny and gets him out of there. I'll say second round for Carlos Prates there by knockout. Yeah, there you guys have it. UFC Vegas 100. What a milestone. What a milestone it is. Should be a good card. Lots of big favorites. I think a lot of these favorites do come through, but we always seem to get some surprises with these Apex cards. But yeah, be on the lookout for more content throughout the week. DraftKings video about to drop soon. Final thoughts, live stream Friday, best bet Saturday, betting breakdown video, lots more content coming your guys' way. Best of luck for UFC Vegas 100, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.